You're listening to What She Grows Through, a podcast dedicated to empower and uplift Black women to grow their self-worth. I'm your host, Chanel Lemire, one of many dope Black women, creating a community for us to pour into and align with one another, uncovering our true feelings from sexuality to self-love, to begin growing through life and evolving into our best authentic selves. Let's get started. Hey, beautiful people, it's your girl back again with another episode of the What She Grows Through podcast. It's been a minute, but I'm slowly finding out how I can continue showing up for you because in that it helps me. The messages that I get are really inspiring and it lets me know that I'm doing something amazing here, which continues to give me that much needed motivation to keep going, to keep pouring into women like you. Because of this, I decided to share with you a beautiful woman whose story really impacted my life, and I know it will do so for you as well. Her name is Nikki Payne, and she's an amazing entrepreneur who takes her pain literally and uses it to empower other women, which is my number one intention for the show. So it's perfect. And being that it's October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I thought it would be great to bring Miss Nikki on the show to tell her story. I do want to share a little disclaimer though, that it can be a little heavy. So as you listen in, just take in to this woman's strength to even share. Take a listen to our conversation. Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to the What She Grows Through podcast. I have the beautiful Nikki Payne. She is a beauty entrepreneur, right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yes, and I did a little research. I checked out your Instagram. I was like, wow, she's beautiful. And then you're a motivational speaker, so no pressure on me because I'm always nervous. So once I saw that, I was all like, but you're doing all the things, and I'm so excited to get to talk with you and
Okay, I'm ready.
You ready? All
I'm
right,
ready.
cool. Who are you, Miss Nikki Payne, in this moment? I love this question. I love asking that one.
In this moment. So for me, in this moment could mean hour to hour sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, it could be season to season. It could be day to day. So at today at this time, if life was going from a 1 to 10, Nikki is a very very strong 8.5. I'm really excited about life. Um, I'm looking forward to things. Mentally, I am clear. I wasn't always like that. Do you mind if I kind of go into?
Oh no, go for it. Because after that, I was just gonna say share a little bit about your personal life journey. So I mean, you're on it.
Oh, okay. So for me, 8.5 is very good. So I'm gonna tell you a short, long story. So
Okay.
a couple of years ago, like 2005, 2006, I had a son. It was me and my son, and I met this guy, right? And I didn't have no money, and I met this guy. He had some money, and he loved my son because my son's father was in jail, and he came in, and he just gave me everything that I thought I wanted, right? Um, I know now that I had some type of void, like where I say I'm an 8.5 now. I might have thought I was a 5, but really I was probably like a 3.5. So when he came in and he gave me everything I wanted, my house was raggedy. He came in and he started fixing stuff. We dated. I ended up getting pregnant, and then I had my daughter. And so he and I got married, and then he said, "You know what? I love your son like he's mine, and we have a daughter. I just want to build us a new house." And I said, "Well, okay." So he went out and he built this house, like this big house, and it was in a subdivision. It had tennis courts, everything you can imagine, right?
Wow.
The problem was I I couldn't afford it by myself. So I'm so in love with this guy that I'm just trusting, I'm like, okay, well, this, I never thought, well, if something happens, what am I supposed to do? I can afford the raggedy house that I'm in now, but I can't afford this new one. But I'm all in love, and he's in love with my son, and then I have my daughter. And so we move into this house, and then he kind of started changing. Some of the things that made me love him eventually made me push away from him. So, meaning, I was financially strapped. I didn't have no money when I first met him. And then once we got married and we moved, money is kind of what made me stay when I saw red flags. He would do things, example would be, hey, we have this family and now we're married. I think we should get a joint account. And I'm like, okay. And he said, you should have your direct deposit going to my account. Now, my first thought is, why would I have my money going in your account? And it didn't seem right. So I asked my mom, and she was like, well, how much money you got? I said, about $30. She said, well, how much money he got? I said, a lot more than $30. And she said, girl, you crazy. You better put your money over there. And so I asked my aunt. She said the same thing. Then I asked my sister. She said the same thing. So I went ahead and I had my direct deposit going into the account. But then I started noticing that I had to start asking for my own money. It went from, hey, I know my money's going in your account. Can I have a debit card? And he'll say, oh, well, I got to go down to the bank and get you one. What do you need? Oh, I just need some groceries. He'll say, okay, here's $100. And then 2 weeks later, hey, did that debit card ever come? He'll say, what you need? Well, I need some money to go to the store. Well, here's $20. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, but my money is in that account, but I'm thinking, well, he's the man. He knows everything. I'm trusting everybody I'm asking. They're telling me, to go ahead with it. So I did it. But eventually, to make a long story short, my husband started becoming a man like I didn't know. And one day, on a normal day, one day he came home, and it was my son and my daughter, and they were running around. And he came in the house, and he was talking to himself. And he said, he don't want to do this. And I said, he doesn't want to do what? And he didn't answer. Then he said, he don't want to do this. And I said, okay. And so he had a gun, and my husband always carried a gun because he worked for himself. So the gun didn't surprise me. The fact that he had it out around the children surprised me. So he takes the gun out and he shoots it in the ceiling. And the only way I can describe it is like time stood still. Like no birds chirped, no music played, no clock kept going. Like time stopped. The children stopped playing. My heartbeat stopped. And so my daughter ran to him because she was afraid. My son ran upstairs, but he looked at me first, and I said, just go upstairs. Everything will be okay, because I couldn't understand, what was happening. And so he pointed the gun at me and he said, you need to go. And I said, I need to go. He said, yeah. And I said, well, just let me have the children. And he said, no, you need to go. And he reached behind me. My back was to my front door, and he opened the door. And then he just shot the gun. And the gun didn't fire, but that click. It was I can't describe it. It's, to this day, I don't like people to even light a lighter around me because of that click. And so my house was on a hill. And so after it clicked, I just took off running. I just took off running down the hill, just took off running. And I kept saying, oh my God, he's going to kill me. And then it went to, oh my God, just let me die fast. And then it went to, oh my God, don't let me feel this bullet. And then it was, oh my God, just let me see my family again. And so I didn't believe that I was going to make it to the bottom of that hill. And then when I got to the bottom of the hill, I was running, but I'm so confused because I'm thinking, I didn't do anything. This is somebody that I love. This is somebody who always protected me. And now I don't know what to do. So I'm running, and I ended up in the woods, but I had a phone. So I called, first I called my mom. Crazy as it seems, 911 wasn't my first thought because again, I love this man and I didn't do anything. So I called my mom and she said, I can't talk to you right now. I have him on the other line. And I said, no. She said, oh, I'll call you back. And she hung up. So I called my brother and he didn't answer. And so I called 911 and I still felt like some kind of way I was betraying him by calling 911. And so the officers, they asked me where I was and everything. I was new to the neighborhood, so I kind of described where I was. And I remember the 911 person saying, can you crawl out of the woods? And she says, the officers are there, but they're not going to put on their sirens because they don't want to wake everyone up. So I crawled out, and then I saw a glimpse of the police car. But before I could get to the police car, I saw my husband's shoes. And I got on the phone and I said, ma'am, he's here. And he has a gun. And he's going to kill me. And then I'm looking at his shoes. And then I just see the shoes take off. And then I crawled out the woods to go towards the police car. And then I just fainted. But at the end of the night, my son was shot in the head. He's deceased. My daughter was shot in the head, and it went through her head and out of her arm. My daughter's deceased. My husband committed suicide. He's deceased. I was living, they say, but if you would ask me then, I was deceased too. So that's why when you said, who are you now? And I said, well, I'm an 8.5. When I tell you that day, I started that day at a good 10. And at night I was at 0. And I was at 0 for years. So my 8.5 today feels to me like a 20. I hope, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't go off a strip. I just
No.
It's just what when you ask me stuff like that, it's like I go through so many emotions. And right now I'm an 8.5. I'm an 8.5 just because you even asked me to be on this podcast and I'm able to help somebody else. That helps me get to a 9. And I can't tell you 2 weeks from now that I'm going to be at a 6, but today you're helping me get to that 9. So sorry to go all out strip.
No, you did not go off any way. I'm just trying to figure out how, I can follow up and, talk after that. Your story is just wow. As you were talking, I was just thinking of how strong you have to be, and I really understood when you said you were a 0 because as moms there are everything, and I could never imagine what you had to go through in order to even get to this point. Like, you're still here, and that just says a lot. Even you saying that you're an 8, like that's mind-boggling to me. And I look up to you because honestly I don't know. I don't know if I would be able to do that. And now I'm thinking, when we first started, I'm like, you're a mom, and that might have, triggered you.
Oh,
And
no.
no, okay, because I'm just.
Let me tell you why. Because when people ask me, am I a mom? I say yes, because I still feel like I'm a mom. Mother's Day, people don't know what to say to me. They don't know whether to avoid me, say Happy Mother's Day, or what. And I tell them I'm still a mom in my heart. So when you said, "Hey, you're a mom," I said, "Yeah, because I am. My kids are in my heart. I'm still a mom." There's even though I lost my children, my son was 7, my daughter was 2. It's some people out there that can't have kids. So at least I was blessed enough to have 2 healthy children, even though I didn't get to keep them for that long. But I'm still a mom, so it's okay.
Okay. Wow.
It's
Wow.
okay. But one thing I want to point out, I'm not sure if you want to ask me, but
Oh no, go for it.
in that story, one important thing that a lot of people don't pick up on is that I felt red flags from my husband. But I asked my mom, my aunt, and one of my sisters. I was asking people who were in the same situation that I was in. I never reached outside of my circle. When I think back, my husband was just like my stepdad. He was just like my uncle. He was just like one of my brother-in-laws. He was just like, so I'm asking people who have husbands that are just like mine. So they couldn't even see the red flag. They didn't really understand because how people say you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. I
Mm-hmm.
was asking people in the same frame with me, and that was one of my issues. So when they asked me like, what is a message that you want to get to women, one of them would be, if you see or you feel red flags, you're not crazy. And if you have a question, you may want to ask someone else that is objective, that doesn't know either party, to see if they notice the red flags. The people that I asked, their husbands beat them, or their husband was the breadwinner. So if my husband is the breadwinner and I'm asking my mom, of course she's gonna tell me to stay. So that's one message. Another message is, am I talking too much?
No, no, go for it. This is an interview with you. I
Oh,
want you to be able to tell your story. I'm just here.
okay. So I always tell people about mental health. I was a perfectly sane person, and then after my children passed, I ended up in a mental institute. I got hooked on pills, like prescription pills. I was suicidal, but not the way that you would think. So in my mind, it was like I could never kill myself and let my mom bury me like I buried my children. And then I kept saying, but if I die in my sleep, if I have a one car accident, it would be so much gentler on my mom. Like it would be so much gentler on my family versus me taking my own life. I literally became insane like overnight. And then I started reading about mental health and things like that. And I started remembering things that my husband had did. How he would go from 0 to 100. And me, I'm thinking, oh, he's just passionate, not even knowing that it was a sign that he may have mental illness. And then after he died, the officers, they were asking me questions like, what did he say and what did he do? And I said, well, he was kind of talking to himself. And they said, it sounded like bipolarism. I kept saying that, well, I don't know. And so they said, well, we'll do an autopsy. And he didn't have any tumors and he didn't have anything medically. So, they were trying to figure out was drugs in his system. But we all came back to he was having a mental episode. And then I asked people, after he died, I started asking people he grew up with. And they said, no, we don't know who you knew. That was the real him. The day that he did all that, that was the real him. We don't know who you knew. And so now going forward, I take mental health very, very seriously, even my own. I try not to get too wrapped up in it because, like, I'll meet somebody and I'll just try to examine like their whole mental history.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I take it so seriously now. It's I don't know. See, in my family, like, if they used to say people were a little touched if they have mental problems, but it was always a secret. Nobody's supposed to know. You're not supposed to see a therapist. We're black. Black people don't see
Yes,
therapists.
especially the Black community. Yes, this
Right.
is an ongoing problem.
And whatever happens in your house stays in your house. Those type of things. And with my husband, what I found out is that he had been having mental episodes, but it stayed in the house. And so that's one reason why I didn't know. So
Yes. So with everything that you have been through, um, that's the reason for this podcast. What she grows through. We always think, we go through so much, but you diving into mental health, and I have a mental health background as well, so I understand how important it is. How were you able to take that and push through and change your mindset to begin discovering your purpose, discovering how you were able to start your businesses? How were you able to just push through that moment and just continue on to even be able to be brave enough and strong enough to talk about it? And yeah, like just all of those.
well, long short story. I'm gonna tell you another short story.
Go for it. I'm here.
So when all of this happened, remember I told you that my mom was talking to him on the phone. My mom actually heard him shoot himself. She thought it was pots and pans that fell. So my mom went into a depression. Like my mom started getting real, real sick. I felt so bad because I felt like I brought this guy to our life, and he's killing my mom. That's how I kept feeling. And I felt so guilty about my mom getting sick that I stopped going around my mom. I stopped going around my family. Anybody was gonna hold me accountable. I just stayed away. So one night, my mom calls. She says, "Nikki, I want to see you." And I'm telling you, I was so high. I was so high, I couldn't even tell you what I had taken. I was so high, and my hair was all over my head. I don't even know if I had a bath. And I told my mom, I said, "Oh, I'll be over there tomorrow." She said, "No, I want to see you now." And I said, "No, I'll come tomorrow." I hung up in my mom's face. So the next day, I pulled myself together. I go to my mom's house. I open the door and I said, "Hey, Mom, do you want a Coca-Cola?" And she didn't answer. But my mom's funny. If she's mad at you, she's not gonna answer. So I get the Coca-Cola, I go sit on her bed, I'm talking to her, and I said, "Oh, so you're not gonna say nothing?" And I hit her. My mom was brick cold. My mom had this stuff running out of her mouth. My mama was dead. And so I'm sitting here like, only thing my mama wanted me to do was to come see her. My mama was dying. And she called me. And I was so high, being so selfish, that I didn't even go see my mom the day that she died. My mama wanted me to be there with her. And what other people would say, "Oh, that would just break you." Like, I couldn't make it after that. For me, it was different. It was like, "Nikki, wait a minute now. You got to get yourself together. Because if you don't get yourself together, somebody going to come in here and they're going to find you just like that." I really tell people, like, my mom died to save me. See, it wouldn't have been the same if somebody called me and said, "Your mom died," or if I'd have found out later. But being there in that moment, like seeing it, it's like, "Nikki, get up, get yourself together, because your mama wouldn't have wanted that for you." And so that was 2011. It literally took me up to 2 or 3 years ago to get myself together. But I did. And I did it every day. Like, I made small steps every day. And one of the biggest steps that I have to make to this day, every day, is put your feet on the ground, Nikki, and get up and do what you have to do. That's one of the hardest decisions every day. But you know what? I do it every day. And sometimes I have to go day to day. Sometimes I have to go hour to hour. Sometimes I have to go minute to minute. But I don't want anybody listening to think, oh, well, after a couple of years you'll get over it. I have to re-get over some things every day or every week. So to answer your question, I just get up and say, my mama wouldn't have wanted this for me. My kids wouldn't have wanted this for me. And I just have to do it. But there are times where what helps me is creating boundaries for myself. I do believe I went through that, all of that, so that I could tell people my story and help people, either the mental health aspect or the domestic violence aspect, the business aspect, being a woman aspect, being a black woman aspect. I, I know. I'm sorry. I started crying.
No,
I'm sorry.
no, it's
I'm sorry.
okay.
I
No, it's
know that
okay.
I know that that's what I'm supposed to do, but I also know that in order for me to go and do that, I cannot deplete myself to zero. So a boundary would be when people ask me to speak um, around Christmas or around Thanksgiving, I always tell them no. Although I know people need to hear this, but those times are so difficult for me that if I do it, Nikki's gonna deplete Nikki to zero. And in that instance, I just have to be selfish. And so, you know, setting those boundaries helped me be able to speak about what happened to me the rest of the year by just cutting off certain times. I don't even remember what the question was. I just get to talk.
Yeah, listen, I actually like when people just continue to talk because I mean it just flows. But it was just discovering your purpose. But um, I don't think that that's selfish at all for you to establish boundaries. That's taking care of yourself. That's incorporating self care because all the things that you had to grow through now, including your mom, you have to so that you can continue bettering yourself, continue pushing forward. I like how you said the hardest decision was just putting your feet to the ground, taking one step at a time, one step in front of the other. And I can agree with that so much because it's hard, especially when you still have that grief, and I don't know if it will ever, get better. I
Mhm.
know there was a something on social media. They were trying to explain grief, and they were talking about how it could be a big box and then there's this little button and then inside is the ball, and that's grief. And it's so big at first that the ball will just keep hitting that button, but as you continue to grow and get just grow in life, that ball will get smaller, and sometimes it will still hit that button and it will feel just the same, but sometimes it won't. And then those are the days that you're trying to be the best as you can, but at the end of the day you're going to feel those, and it's perfectly fine. That's normal, you know what I mean? And you'll
Mhm.
always feel that grief, but for you to just continue to push through is just I listen, I didn't know this this episode was even going to be like this. But you're inspiring me because we all have stories, and we'll think that our story is harder or worse than other people, but we all just have our individual journeys, and we just gotta empathize with other people and just allowing other people grace. So it's just I'm I'm curious, what is your self-care routines? Like, how do you continue to fill yourself up, like fill your cup up? Like, what's your support? I I hope that's good.
Well, let's see. By my father, there's 26 of us, my siblings.
Wow.
I have so many nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters that I stay busy. Self-care would be not answering the phone for them. And it sounds crazy, but
Nope,
I have
nope,
to
not for me.
turn like turning off the phone, just having a me time, which could always be different. Sometimes me time is just sitting and eating an orange. Sometimes it's sitting and reading a book. Sometimes it's blocking out of the world. Sometimes it's volunteering. A lot of times it's volunteering. Volunteering without an agenda, meaning I don't have to volunteer when the papers are there. I don't have to volunteer when somebody's taking a picture. It makes me just feel good just to volunteer somewhere. And so even though it's helping other people, I still feel like that's me time. But it's more so of just not answering the phone for my family.
Okay. Okay, if it works,
It
hey.
hurts.
Yes. So, do you feel like at this moment you're on the path to purpose? So, I know how they say, turning pain into purpose. So, I'm sure that's a really big thing for you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm right on the line of whatever God got has for me. I'm right on the line, like I can touch it. I used to speak all the time, but I didn't like leaving people feeling sad for me. So I don't even know if speaking is my purpose. So then I was talking to this lady and I said, you know what? Maybe just getting up every day, smiling, having a business and working, and just people seeing that. And then when they ask me, how do you do that? Then sharing my story, maybe that's my purpose. I just never, whatever my purpose is, I know it's not to make people leave feeling down. You can hear my story, but that happened to me. That's not me. You know, that's not Nikki's story. That's just a part of what happened.
Mhm.
So I really don't know yet what my purpose is. I know it's to help other people. I just don't exactly know how yet because I'm a little rough around the edges. So
Yeah, and sometimes it's really, I like this. I don't remember who said it, but it resonated with me. And they were saying how our purpose is really our life's journey. It might take all of our lives.
mm-hmm.
So we don't have to figure it out just yet. We just have to continue showing up every day, even when we don't want to. And I love how you say that you don't want people to feel sad for you. You want people to take your story and feel empowered to maybe,
Mm-hmm.
share their stories and create those safe spaces so that they can share their journeys and their stories on where they're at in that moment, to let people know that there are other women who are there to support you. We do have that support, and we are building that community to allow each other to pour into each other and align with one another. I feel like, we're going to be friends now. Like, hopefully.
Yes. Yes.
But how are you? Can you tell me a little bit about your business and how you're helping women, create this wellness?
Yes. I never wanted to do this. Um, when my husband, because my husband controlled all the money when he passed, I didn't know where the money was. I mean, I was left at zero. The house got foreclosed on. I pawned my car titles. I was boiling water in the microwave to bathe. Like it was all bad. So I seen this commercial on TV, something about facials. So the first thing I thought was if I go to school and get a loan, I can get the overage check and try to save my house. I didn't care what I could have went to change tires. I didn't care. So I just Googled the first school I saw was an esthetician school. I went up there, I filled out the FAFSA, and they said, "Oh, okay. Well, you're gonna have like a $3,500 overage." I said, "Can I get that today?" They said, "No, you have to go to school." So I hated everything about school. So it was one thing that kept us in a room by ourselves with a client. Everything else was in like an open classroom, and that was anything that had to deal with machines and a body. So it would be the laser, like laser lipo or skin tightening and things like that. So I said, okay, well, I hate this school. I'm just here for the money. I'm going to learn every machine in here just so I can stay in a room by myself. So I messed around and became the expert of every machine at the school. got my overage check, still didn't save my house, but it helped me get on my feet. But being that desperate landed me with something that I love. So when I started my business years later, and I was doing so what I do is I can make you I can make your stomach smile and your butt big. I can make your waist little. I can do everything with the body. So at first, it was more of I'm just gonna do this to get money. But then once I started talking to my clients, a lot of people who were coming in to get their body done, it was more mental than it was physical. It was, I'm depressed, so I eat. That's why I gain weight. Well, I can help you, but you're going to have to take care of what you're going through with that emotional eating. And then I would have people that come in and say, oh, I just went through a divorce and I just feel like I'm ugly, or my ex-husband used to say that I'm ugly. So doing their body was kind of like therapy for them. So even though I was making money, it was just helping people. It was some people say it was from the outside in, but for some it was the inside out. Because I do believe when people feel confident about their body, about how they look, then they feel better about themselves. So that's literally how I got my business up and running. It just switched from something I was just doing for money into something greater, which leads me back to, is this my purpose, God? Like, am I supposed to be doing this to be able to one-on-one talk to people? Because remember, I said I didn't like talking to big crowds because I would leave people sad. But this gave me an opportunity to one-on-one speak with somebody, and every time they left feeling good. So, did I answer your question?
Yes, you
Okay.
did. And that's amazing. It's like I said, with the pain and purpose, like you're turning your pain into purpose, and you're figuring out a way that you're helping not only other people, but you're helping yourself as well, because you're able to touch other women. And not no wait, that sounds kind of crazy,
Yeah.
but but yes, you're able to inspire them. And you know uh, to be able to do it on your own, and it's your business, that's the best thing ever. So I'm just amazed by just all of your strength and resilience. I don't even like to say resilience, really. I don't want to put that on, black women, because they always label us as resilient.
Right.
But as an advocate for domestic violence, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Everything that you've been through, it made me think of those little moments in my life where I had to make some tough decisions, being with certain people who were showing those red flags. And when you're younger, I was in college. I had a boyfriend who could potentially have, it could have gotten worse if I didn't leave. But it took things to get to 100 for me to actually realize that I didn't want to put myself in this position,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not a confrontational person.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was put in these situations where, my boyfriend is chasing me down the street, and I literally have to knock on a neighbor's door just to get away from them. Police involved, it's scary, and I never wanted to put myself in those positions. So, yes, red flags, like you said, those are so important. When your feelings are not involved,
Mm-hmm.
recognize and see those red flags and do not move forward. So,
Right. Do you know
what
who I blame? Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go for it.
Do you know who I blame for all of my bad relationships? This is going to sound so bad because she didn't mean to do it. My kindergarten teacher.
Wow. I mean, it's always childhood, right?
Let me tell you, I remember being on the playground and this boy every day he would push me down, he would hurt me, he would just push me into the tree for no reason. And I was crying and I went to her and I said, "Why does he treat me so bad?" And she said, "Oh, guys always treat you bad when they like you."
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't mean nothing by it, but all my life is, oh, well, if he treats me bad, he likes me. If he treats me nice, he doesn't like me.
They're giving you that attention. Oh, well, yeah,
Right.
he's focusing on me. Yeah, he likes me. He loves me because he, like you said earlier, he's so passionate.
Right. Exactly.
Wow, it's just a lot to unpack and dive in, and that's why it's so important to focus on that inner work.
Hmm.
Definitely, your childhood, because a lot of how we show up today is based off of our childhood. But what is a core message that you would have for women now trying to show up for themselves now?
Ooh, core message. Mine always goes back to those to reach if you see the flags to reach outside of your circle or your or immediate circle or call a 1-800 number and run it by someone else. Because for me talking to people, one reason why they stay in, if it's not fear based, like fear of the person, is because they're listening to other people. And so one of my core messages is if it doesn't feel right, it might not be right. And so as a professional or go to someone outside of just your immediate circle of family and friends. So that's one of my core messages.
Okay, yes, I definitely agree because they don't have that bias.
Right.
So and that's really important. You need someone from the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, with the show being called What She Grows Through, it took me a long time to think about that. What do you think What She Grows Through? What is the definition for you? Like, what does that mean for you when you reflect on your journey?
Ooh, I'm still growing. I'm still growing through a lot. What I grew through. When you ask that, I don't think about the deaths of my children for some reason. I think I've been growing through things ever since my childhood. Um, just growing through adversity, growing through. I don't want to say poverty because we didn't have it as bad as other people, but growing through struggle, growing through um, being around drugs and alcohol, growing through bad relationships, um, addictions, um, suicidal thoughts. Lord, I was finna say growing my edges. Wait a minute, that ain't
I
right.
mean, hey, that can be in there too.
It's just my life has so many layers that I grow through something every day. So I couldn't even tell you like one thing that it means to me. I- You know, I grew through a frown and now I have a smile. That's the one thing that I can say I grew through that stays the same. Everything else might change, but me waking up with a smile, I actually grew to that smile. I earned this smile. So every time you see me, you're gonna see me smiling like I earned that. That's what I grew to.
Yes.
I grew to this smile, if that answered the question.
It definitely. I mean, you answered the question with a bunch of answers. So all of that means, what she grows through. And I just wow, you're amazing. I just want
Thank
to
you.
let you know that, and it makes me feel I don't even know the words, but I guess I think about my purpose and why I wanted to create a space for women to share their stories, not just celebrities or anyone, just regular Black women to share their stories because we all are growing through life and will just continue to grow, and how important it is for us to start taking our mental health seriously
Mm-hmm.
and talking about the things that make us uncomfortable. So get comfortable being uncomfortable, because we're actually changing other people's lives by telling our story. And you telling me your story just changed my mind and my outlook. And honestly, I know you said you don't want people to feel sad when you talk, but I'm very emotional. I don't know if it's because I'm a Pisces or a woman. I don't know. So I'm probably going to take this in and reflect and cry. Probably. I'm sorry. It's going to happen. I know, because I'm thinking about it. Once you even just started, I was like, wow, this is going to be a lot for me. just just thinking for me, like all the stuff that you're going through. So yes, I'm going to definitely be thinking about you a lot.
Okay.
It sounds a little crazy, but
Oh no, I understand. No, I
listen,
understand.
you're just amazing, and it just makes me feel good that I'm on this path to be able to surround myself with women like you, so that if you can grow through all the things that you've been through,
Mm-hmm.
I can too.
Yeah.
And every other black woman, they can also, and they'll get that strength to continue on and maybe even get comfortable sharing their stories, because when you feel like you're helping someone else, that helps you, and that helps you be able to accept and really take all the things that you've been through and own it, because like you said, that's just a part of me, that's not who I am.
Right. Right.
So that's just it. It's just amazing. I probably had a couple other things, but I think that that is good. And now it's just how can everyone, because I want everyone to find you. I mean, I already looked at your page and I was like, wow, like she's pretty. Oh,
Oh, thank you.
but how can other people connect with you? How can they find you? Just how can people pour into you just occasionally?
Oh, okay. Well, I have two Instagram pages. My personal page is Nikki's underscore Payne, Nikkis underscore Payne. There on that page, you're gonna see all my sides. You're gonna see, you'll see it when you get on there.
That's the page that I seen,
Yeah,
but I
and then
I actually like that, because I'm like, wow, and she's in tune with her body, like her
yeah,
sexy side, because I try to do that sometimes too. Like, so I love that. I was like, yes, you know what, I'm
yeah.
gonna start posting more too.
And then I have my business page. My business page is Vain Bodies, VAINBODIES underscore by Nikki.
Okay, and I'm definitely going to have to take you up on that, because you said small waist, big butt.
Yeah.
That's where I'm trying to be, because I'm still. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of the What She Grows Through podcast. I hope you were able to take some gems to apply it to your life. It's important that we as Black women, we just continue to open up and share our stories, and you never know who you are empowering. Miss Nikki found purpose in her pain, and I thank her for sharing. Like I explained to her, her strength, oh my goodness, a Black woman's strength, it will forever be unmatched. That's why it's important that we just continue to build one another up. We only have this one life, and it's our job to just try every day to genuinely make the best of it, to be our best selves. You can follow the show at What She Grows Through, and definitely give our beautiful guest a follow also at Nikki Nikkis underscores Payne. I will also put all her information in the description box. But like and rate 5 stars so other women can find the show, and comment if anything resonated with you. I would love to hear it. And you can continue doing so in the DMs. That is perfectly fine with me because we friends. Or you know what, we cousins, we blood, we family. But I hope this episode helped, and I look forward to talking with you again. Until then.